Emotionally exhausted here. I'm Mike Missinelli. First of all, before I introduce my cohorts today, Derek Gunn is not with us today. So we're missing D. Gunn, and prayers for Derek because he is dealing with a family emergency. So our best wishes and prayers go out to Derek Gunn and his family. So we will carry on in our cohorts today. Mark Farzetta stepping in today on the post-game show along with Seth Joyner. And, of course, I'm Mike Missinelli. Listen, spill out your emotion on the way that game ended. I'm stunned by it.
I'm with you as far as exhausting as that game was. Mike said, I mean, really at the end of it was like Dallas, no, you guys win. Then Eagles, no, you guys should win this game. No, you guys win this game. But if there was ever to be a picture-perfect moment to describe the Dallas Cowboys over the last 20 to 25 years, it's Dak Prescott just stepping out of bounds before that two-point conversion. Close, but no cigar, and that really does sum up the Cowboys over the last 25-plus years.
You know, the bottom line is the Eagles did enough to win, and that team, with chance after chance to win the game, just doesn't have the heart to punch it through. And so I guess you got to give credit. The Eagles are the better team. The Eagles are the most secure team. They're the one that you can really count on to get the deal done rather than that other squad.
For the majority of the game, they were the better football team. And then, you know, they look like the luckiest team at the end. I mean, it absolutely makes no sense to end the game in that manner. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and beat them up because guess what? They're 8-1. They're going into a bye to get everybody healthy. I don't want to hear it all over social media. Oh, but they won. Yeah, okay. Listen, Dallas is not one of those better football teams in the league that you're going to have to worry about. You know, if they play this way when they go to Dallas, they're not going to win the game in Dallas. I'm just saying, you know, because I believe the home field advantage carries that much. I mean, I can't remember the last time that the Eagles actually went to Dallas and won in Dallas, but this sets them up perfectly because it's the split. I don't see the Eagles losing to the Giants twice. So they're going to win and run away, you know, with the division. But just the way that they play football all season long, I just don't like it. And it's hard to say that you don't like something about a team when they're 8-1. It's absolutely insanity, man.
They're 8-1 now. I mean, let's just go over the last few moments. I think the point I'm trying to make is that Dallas can't cinch the deal. And they should have cinched the deal. I mean, they really had chances to win this game, and like Cowboy teams of old, there's something missing. There's always something missing. But let's go over the last precarious moments.
Mike, hold on a second.
What's that?
See, you want to make it about Dallas. I prefer to make it more about the Eagles. You can't have these illegal contacts. You can't have
I'm going to go over that in a second.
You can't jump off sides.
I'm going to go over that in a second.
All the dumb nonsense.
They made a ton of mistakes at the end, obviously. But the Cowboys seem to have the template for not cinching the deal. So
choking.
Let's just go over the last few moments. It was it looked like it was going to be a comfortable 28-23 win. And now Dallas had 3 timeouts. They get the ball back, and we're not expecting that they're going to get the ball down the field. Well, what happens, and this is to speak in to Seth's point, that this is why he's so ticked off, because a good team really doesn't close out a game like this when you're the Philadelphia Eagles. They had the pass interference right out of the chute. They had a roughing the penalty, a stupid penalty by Hassan Reddick. Jalen Carter on an encroachment gets the ball to the 6-yard line, 1st and 5 at the 6-yard line. Now here's where the Cowboys take over. They get a false start. They get a sack from Sweat that sends them way back. They get incompletion in the corner of the end zone. They get a delay of game penalty. So now it's 4th down. They started at the 6. They're now back at the 26. And they complete the final pass to CeeDee Lamb, but it was a shorter pass. It wasn't going to get into the end zone, and it stopped at about the 4-yard line, and that's the ball game. I mean, there are so many little twists and turns in this game, and I look at it and I go, boy, the Cowboys gave the Eagles 2 possessions. This is what I'm talking about. Separates a good team from a team that's ready to just give it up. 2 possessions the Eagles had. They started at the 40-yard line. Now, who does that in the NFL to a good team? Do you allow the other team to start at the 40-yard line? One, the kicker kicked it out of bounds, and the other one, I don't remember what was the
face
other
mask.
one.
They pulled the face mask off.
They pulled the face mask. A special teamer pulls the guy's face mask and helmet off to start at the 40. So, I'm looking at this. This team is ridiculous. And then it comes down to the point where they almost win the game.
Yeah, well, before the game, we were talking about this as possibly making the Dallas Cowboys look like the Miami Dolphins, which was basically a team that looks pretty elite most of the time, except for when they play the good football teams. And the Eagles, and yes, I have my problems with the way they played some of this game, and we'll get to that, I'm sure. But when it comes to winning football games against the upper echelon teams in the NFL, there's no better team that does that more so than the Philadelphia Eagles. And they proved that the Dallas Cowboys are still the Dallas frauds, and they took advantage of all the opportunities that they possibly could. The Eagles even afforded themselves the right to pass up on other opportunities in this game, and it basically came down to the Dallas Cowboys not being able to score and not being able to cash in on big opportunities presented to them.
Let's highlight a couple of the big plays, first of all, right? Blankenship did make the play on that tight end. And at that point, the Eagles had taken control of the game with a couple scores in the third quarter. And so now we're in the fourth quarter. It's 4th and 1, and we're having a discussion. And I know that, Seth, I'll let you speak on this because you would have kicked the field goal there. Instead, they decided to go for the touchdown on 4th and 1 with the score 28-17. And your reasoning is if you kick the field goal, you still got to score again, and you get the 8-pointer to tie it. They decide to go for it. They find the tight end wide open. Blankenship does make a pretty good play on it. I didn't even think it was not a touchdown until the replay shows that the guy's knee was down on that play by like a half yard. So that's the first thing that happens. Then the Eagles, I thought the Eagles got a little conservative there, like playing not to lose rather than to win, because they give the ball right back on a 3-and-out punt, and the Cowboys score to make it 28-23, and that on a 2-point conversion is where Dak Prescott steps out of bounds with a chance to make it 28-26. 25. Where they're within a field goal. They squander that opportunity. And then finally on the next drive, the couple of big plays that I'm citing are the sacks by Brandon Graham. He had one by himself. He had one with Jalen Carter. That was a monster play by him at that point of the game.
I mean, how many clutch times have you seen this defensive line step up? Hassan Reddick has done it time and time again. 6.5 sacks coming into this game in the fourth quarter. Then you see a guy like Brandon Graham step up and make the play that you just referenced. Hassan Reddick made another good play. Ended up having a couple of penalties as well. But then also Jalen Carter steps up and makes a play. When the Eagles have needed to get a big play, they have been able to rely on their defensive line. And to see Brandon Graham, for instance, come into today's game with only a sack and a half on the season and gets a sack and a half in the game, that's stepping up. If you're going to step up in a money situation, there's no bigger money situation than against the Dallas Cowboys and going into a bye week. So you saw them step up in that situation.
Seth, how did you feel about the way the Eagles handled the end of that game? Did you think they got conservative? They punted twice. They gave the ball back to them twice on punts on 3-and-out type situations.
I didn't mind the one after the touchdown. I didn't mind that one. I didn't mind because they were backed up. They went push first play. Then they came back on 2nd and 7 or 2nd and 8. The thing I didn't like about that play is that you're trying to throw a slant to Olamide Zaccheaus, who plays three plays a game. And you got A.J. Brown over here, one of the preeminent wide receivers in the league, and he's throwing a fit because it's like, how dare you call a play to throw it to him instead of me? A.J. catches that ball, he gets the first down, and we start chewing clock from there. So, listen, when you're backed up, I get it. You're just trying not to make a mistake, but you got the Dallas Cowboys, by the necks at that point. They just messed up because, to my point, if they kick the field goal and then they get the ball back and they got the five play, 52-yard drive where they actually score the touchdown the next down, now they got a decision to make, okay? We got to go for 2 to tie the game. Now you understand why I said what I said when we were having the conversation.
I don't agree with it.
Listen,
but here's the thing.
Mike, you cannot agree with it all you want, but the proof is how the game played out.
Okay.
If they kick the field goal, put the Eagles behind. The Eagles are already in protection mode. They weren't trying to score any more points. They were going to go 3-and-out the next series anyway. So now you make the Eagles punt. Now you hold your breath because this Turpin kid, if he catches a punt, you got problems. And the Eagles defense hadn't stopped them at that point. They go down and score. Now you got to get a 2-point, and now we're looking at overtime.
Listen, mathematically, you're correct.
We've
as far as
fallen
we gotta
in
bring
love.
you in on this.
We've fallen in love with that nonsense of always having to go
forget
for
the
it.
nonsense.
Yes, it's nonsense.
If you have confidence in your offensive team, you're 4th and 1. What are the chances you get back to that situation? You got to take advantage of that situation to score a touchdown when you've only got 1 yard to go.
No, you don't. You needed 2 possessions anyway. You needed 2 possessions
But
anyway.
the second possession needs 8 points to tie it.
So what?
If you score the touchdown and you score again, you win the game.
If in Buster's Candy and Nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. See, that's what these stupid decisions are built upon. Is if and probability. But when it doesn't work out, because guess what? They turn the ball over.
Yeah.
By that much, okay? Then when they score, they get the 2-point conversion, but Dak steps out of bounds. Look at all of these ifs that come up, where you don't make the proper decision. We have just fallen in love and we're drunk on analytics and drunk on always having to go for it.
But they had the touchdown. See, not that this matters. We're talking about what Dallas didn't do.
They had no touchdown.
It shouldn't matter to us.
In that situation, they did not get the touchdown.
They
didn't get the touchdown. They should have gotten the touchdown.
Yeah.
See,
like by a miracle, they didn't get the touchdown there with the pass to the tight end.
I love these adjectives. If, shoulda, coulda, woulda. You got any more for me?
I think they're contractions. Aren't they? What are they?
My head is still spinning. Last thing I'm going to remember right now is 8th grade grammar. But when it comes to this game, I think they had to go for the touchdown in that situation. When you look at that situation, they're not – look, yes, had they been putting up numbers, had they been racking up yards, did CeeDee Lamb have 150-plus yards, whatever he ended up with, 160, whatever – yes, he had been doing that all the damn game. But when you look at this particular situation, you don't know whether or not you're going to get back there. And look, the Eagles' defense eventually woke up by being able to get after the quarterback. So if they just go for a field goal at that time, I mean, if you're Mike McCarthy, you're telling your offense in that situation, well, this is the only shot we really got. If you don't score, if you don't go after it at that point, you're telling your defense, you're telling your offense, you're not putting up any more points.
They had no chance whatsoever, none, at winning that game. Once they decided to go for it on 4th down and came up 6 inches short. They had no chance. The only chance that they had.
They almost won the damn game. They got to the 5-yard line.
But listen to what I'm saying. The only chance that they had was for the Eagles to play as stupid as they played down the stretch.
Now that I agree with. I agree with. Absolutely.
Because okay, well, let me use the conjunction.
I don't know. I don't even know what it is.
If.
It might be a –
If. It's definitely –
I think it's a preposition.
It's definitely not an adjective. Let me go back and say, okay, if the Eagles play the game the way they're supposed to play it, okay, then there's no shot whatsoever with two possessions. They need 2 scoring drives in order to tie this game up. They need 2. There's no way if they play it the proper way, okay? But you can't have jumping off sides, jumping off sides on Jalen Hurts. You can't have, the PI on James Bradbury. You can't have the unsportsmanlike, the little shoulder
on Reddick.
On Reddick. You can't have those dumb plays.
No, you're right. It almost looked like they wanted to give this game to Dallas. I could not believe that Dallas, because we're looking at that other drive. This was the drive at 28-23 where I thought the game was over after this. The Cowboys had gotten into Eagle territory, and on a 3rd and 10, Dak hit a crucial pass to the tight end Ferguson with Morrow in coverage. So they were down pretty deep. Mm-hmm. And this is when the sacks come. Brandon Graham gets the sack on a second and makes it 2nd and 17 back at the 38. And then Graham and Carter get another one. And on that play, they may have missed the hands to the face.
Yeah. They may have. I thought it was a shoulder pad. Yeah,
okay. All right. So whatever. Now they're in a 3rd and 21. Every chance the Cowboys got, they gave it back. So 3rd and 21, they do complete it to CeeDee Lamb. But on a 4th and 8 with 1:30 left, incomplete to the right sideline with Bradbury on Tolbert. Mm-hmm. They don't go to CeeDee Lamb in that particular situation, and they don't even go to the tight end, who seemed to have the middle of the field wide open for him.
Why would you have gone anywhere else?
Right.
They were cooking Bradbury all day. I don't know how many touchdowns he gave up today or how many PIs he had.
I don't know
today.
if Tolbert's going to cook him, though. That's my thing.
Tolbert cooked him for a touchdown earlier.
Yeah, he did. You're right, they did.
And this is nothing new with James Bradbury, unfortunately. He has not looked particularly great this season at all.
No, he didn't play very well at all.
I like the way that Slade played today. because they had him in a more aggressive posture. And they put him on CeeDee Lamb in the slot. And when you had him on CeeDee Lamb, he was doing work today.
Yeah, and
it's what I keep talking about, how you play these cornerbacks, you know, and the fact that the coverage and the pressure has to work hand in hand, okay? I am just like amazed at how little pressure, you know, Sean decided to dial up today. I mean, you're just letting Dak sit back there. Another guy that's thrown for 300 yards on us today. It's ridiculous. You are not always going to get pressure with a four-man rush. So sometimes you got to send the extra guy or the extra two guys, you know, and live with the results of that. But if you speed Dak's process up, I mean, we were talking about it at the end of the game. They sent Zach Cunningham. Zach runs up in there, Dak throws it in the dirt. I'm like, if you just speed him up a little bit, just a little bit, it makes all the difference in the world.
Well,
if you're going to let him stand back there.
They sacked him 5 times today. They pressured him a lot. Though, there were a lot of pressures on him today.
The ones that really only mattered were the last two, you know, at the end of the game. Those are the ones that really only mattered. You know, when you're not generating, I mean, you can talk about the sacks, you can talk about the hurries all you want. But if they're not timely enough to affect the game, like the last two, they affected the outcome of the game. The other 3 early on in the game, they're non-existent. They didn't really accomplish anything. And my thing is, you cannot keep playing football in this manner where you don't affect the quarterback, where you don't stress the quarterback. Because good quarterbacks like Dak, and listen, he may have made some boneheaded plays today, some things that, you know, should have been better, but he was good enough to throw for well over 300 yards.
Yeah, here are his numbers: 29 of 44 for 374 and 3 touchdowns. Not an interception, which I find hard to believe.
Well, you're not going to get an interception when you don't pressure him.
Yeah.
That's my whole point.
Still hasn't thrown an interception at Lincoln Financial Field, by the way.
Oh,
Dak
is that
Prescott.
right?
Also, do you see the numbers there? You're about to give to CeeDee Lamb?
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb, 11 catches for 191 yards. And we thought that was going to be a problem because he primarily was operating out of the slot, and Sidney Brown is just he's way behind the curve as far as being an NFL slot corner at this point. Let's go to the other side because Jalen Hurts, and you know, we looked at the situation. I didn't know if he was going to play the second half. He got banged on that knee and limped off. Now, he put a good face on it by running into the locker room. But Jalen, 17 of 23 today for 207. He wound up running the ball 10 times. I don't think any of those were designed runs for only 36 yards. He was hobbled the whole game. Now, we thought the Eagles were really going to concentrate on running the football against Dallas in this game. But they did it as soon as they come out for the second half. It's funny because when they notice they haven't run the ball in the first half, usually in the second half they start running it and say, oh, we forgot about this. And of all people, Rashad Penny carries the ball a couple times in the second half. But DeAndre Swift, 18 for 43, very pedestrian. And Gainwell only had 3 carries today. He had a big one, but only 3 carries for Kenneth Gainwell today. So I don't know. What do we make of the offensive game plan here?
I mean, we all did talk about how much they were supposed to run this ball in this game today, and they did not do that even a little bit. They did it initially when you saw Kenny Gainwell go for that big touchdown, and we all know the controversy after that game last week about Kenny Gainwell and answering DMs or whatever they might be on social media.
Yeah.
So I think that was a big point of emphasis for Nick Sirianni to make sure Kenny Gainwell got the ball with the opportunity to score a touchdown, which he eventually did with that flip into the end zone. That's all well and good, but you need to see more of that in a game like this. And I think one of the big reasons the game became all of a sudden out of control is because you weren't trusting your running game. You weren't trusting your offensive line. And I understand to a point you have a guy like Tyler Steen making his first NFL start at the right guard position here for the Eagles. But at some point you got to consider the fact that run blocking for a lot of young offensive linemen in particular is a much easier game than passing. So for me, I was very surprised the Eagles didn't trust that a little bit more in the early goings of this ball game. And DeAndre Swift was able to get it going very little bit today, 43 yards, but 18 carries for him considering the lack of success they had. I was surprised they stuck with him as much as they did in this game.
Seth, I know you're pretty frustrated at this point by screaming that they should run the ball more, but like, what are your thoughts on this?
You know, the other thing, too, is when you run the football is as big as, you know, if you run the football. You know, to your point, they're always going to look balanced because, you know, they're going to get to a point in the game where it's like, oh, my God, you know, we're way out of whack here, so we need to, like, get back. So you can go ahead and look at the amount of attempts by Jalen Hurts and then look at the rushes. So he had a tush push for a touchdown, and he had 2 tush pushes for first downs, correct?
And one at their own goal line. That was in the 3 and out they had after they went for the touchdown. Dallas went for the touchdown, didn't get it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
He got 3 yards on it on one leg.
So my point is, go ahead and add, potentially take 4, maybe 5 or 6 of those rushing plays off of the ledger for Hurts as a runner and throw them over on the passing play, because that's what they actually were, you know. So listen, I'm done, you know, sounding the gong about what they should do as far as the run game is concerned. I say that now, but I know I'll never change, because I understand I've been around football too long and I know the game too well to ever move off of that fact that the run game, you know, can be such an integral part of what you do. You know, for the Chiefs last year in the Super Bowl in the second half, it was integral to their getting their offense on track and then winning the Super Bowl. I watched them do the same thing today with Miami crawling back in the game. They went back to, you know, the run game, and it secured the victory for them again. When you go back and you look at the stats, they were balanced in the Super Bowl and they were balanced today. And I think that good football teams, you know, they learn how to get balanced, you know, early in the game. And if they do early enough, then it's one of those situations, Mike, where I believe, you know, the Eagles really don't struggle in this game. But the fact that, you know, you started off strong running the ball, you're establishing the run, you know, I'm looking and I'm saying, oh, they got 2 high safeties. That means you got 6 on 6 in the box. That means that we can run the ball no problem. No, we're going to throw it against cover 2. And I'm like, it just makes no sense whatsoever. But I just resign myself to the fact that this is the way that this offensive staff is going to operate. And, you know, I'll keep, you know, beating the gong of what they should be doing, but they're going to do what they want to do, you know. And I'm telling you right now, it's going to come a point in time in this season where it's going to bite them in the behind. You know, the same way when I talked about last year, pressure, and I'm talking about it again. Sean Desai needs to learn how to bring more pressure, okay? When you got a team behind the sticks, put them behind the sticks even more, because if you're going to play soft and give them, you know, 15 yards, you know, like that 3rd and 20 that they had, and CeeDee Lamb catches the ball on 4th down right there where they turn it down. He's a yard away. All he needs is a little shove. Like, why are you giving up so much real estate? It makes no sense to me. None.
The Cowboys did a decent, and they've been actually all year, their secondary has held wide receivers down. So A.J. Brown did not go off today. 7 catches for 66 yards. And Devontae Smith had 3 catches for 51. Was not happy in the first half. It looked like he was squawking a little bit on the sidelines, and then finally he got on the board with a touchdown. That was the first touchdown in the third quarter, where the Eagles were trying to take control as they went into halftime with a little bit of a deficit. That was a really good play. 6 plays, 60 yards that drive, 29-yard TD to Devontae Smith. It was his 2nd target of the day. That put him up 21-17. And then on the subsequent drive, they score again to make it 28-17. They got a really costly pass interference call with the 3:16 left in the period to get to the 41 of the Cowboys, and then crossing a short pass to Goddard for 29 yards. That was where he got hurt, I believe, and he was out for the rest of the game. So they were really playing the rest of the game without the tight end. And then they get the swing pass to A.J. Brown for a TD, which was a pretty well-designed play because Gilmore had him man-to-man. He had to track him all the way across the field. So, and that made him 3 for 3 in the red zone. So they're up 28-17. Everything's looking peachy as we get to the end of the third quarter, and then all of a sudden, boom, it becomes a game again.
Well, at the start of that third quarter, let's not forget, going into halftime, Jalen Hurts was dragging that leg off the field. So we didn't know what to expect from Jalen Hurts in that second half. And then finally, he comes out in the third quarter, and he goes 2 for 2. He had 2 runs. He had 1 run by Rashad Penny, which was surprising, a nice little run for him. But then you also go on to see Jalen Hurts hit 2 passes in a row, including the 29-yard touchdown strike, which was a ball right in the basket, right in the breadbasket of Devontae Smith in the end zone. So you had a little concern going into halftime about what Jalen Hurts was going to look like after that. Very accurate after that. And then again, you go back to that 3-and-out play with that 1 tush push, It's a 1st and 10 situation on their own 1-yard line. They set up the tush push where, again, they initially try to draw the Dallas Cowboys off sides. They decide to keep it. Jalen Hurts then goes on one leg 3 yards up the middle, and then they blew it after that. But as far as that possession went. But really, this offense looked like to find some kind of sync coming out at halftime there.
Yeah, because they ran the ball.
Yeah, they ran the ball. Go figure.
They set it up. They had a little more balance in the game. By
the way, real quick, on those 2 completions by Jalen Hurts coming out of halftime, the amount of times he had to use his legs. One on a scramble that ended up being for no gain. And then on the other, he was able to run to his right. I think he found DeAndre Swift for an 11-yard completion on that play. And he made a great play to be able to roll to his right on that play. Again, on one leg and make that completion.
Yeah, and Seth was seeing that play. He was open earlier. He got the ball earlier on that play, right?
I mean, if he throws that ball immediately, he probably picks up another 15, 20 yards easy. But you know, the other thing about the Eagles, passing game that I don't like. Listen, Jalen Hurts. I don't know how many sacks he's taken on the year, but it seems like every game is like 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4 sacks a game. You know, some of them are. He had another one of those today where he was scrambling and he decided to slide before the line of scrimmage and gave away a sack. But a lot of them, the other 2 were right there in the pocket, and he almost got severely hurt in the pocket because, you know, I think sometimes, you know, instead of their progression working from short to deep, their progression always works from deep to short. They're always looking for those routes, those explosive plays, 15 to 20 yards down the field, and those routes take time to develop, you know, and then they've got to work back to the safety valve underneath. So my thing is, though, if I'm looking right now and it's not there, just give it to him. Just give it to the safety valve and take the 5 yards now. Stop being so darn impatient trying to force the ball down the field. Because guess what? If I keep dumping it off, and Nick Sirianni said last week that, you know, the short passing game to the running backs, you know, out of the backfield, that's an extension of the run game. I call BS. You want to know why I call BS? Because I didn't see them extending the running game down on the goal line. You could have easily thrown the ball to the back out of the backfield, and that could have been an extension of the – so that's nonsensical. That doesn't fly for me, okay? But my thing is they get so impatient, man. You know, if you got a lead, all you have to do is take what the defense is giving you. You don't have to push the ball down the field. It's not about that. It's about winning the game. It's not about a philosophy of how you're going to run your offense and the passing game that you want to implement. If they're giving you 5 yards on first down, passing the ball, why not take it? Because now you got second down. You can either run it, you can go play action on second down, or you can take a shot on second down coming back that you know you got third and manageable if you don't convert it. But everything that they do is just, you know, 15, 20, 30 yards down the field. And while Jalen's standing there patting, trying to wait for these routes to open up, the rush is crashing in on him. And then by the time he decides that, oh, there's nothing there, let me go to the check down, you know, now he's got heat all over him. He takes a lot of sacks, in my opinion, that he shouldn't. When he drops back, I'm like, let it go, Jalen, let it go, let it go. And he's just holding on to it, waiting for somebody down the field to come open.
All right, let's take a breath. And I want to come back to a point that happened before the play at the goal line where the tight end did not get into the end zone. But right now I want to speak to the people who are looking to hire in the IT, manufacturing, or technology fields. If you're looking, then you contact our buddy Gary Kane and his team at Kane Partners Staffing Solutions. And here is how you can connect.
Staffing is not easy, but that's what we do every day, all day. The key to our success is storytelling, asking the right questions to find the right people. I'm Gary Kane, president of Kane Partners. We want to be your staffing partner.
All right, it is the Pine Hockey Eagles post-game show. I'm Mike Missinelli with Mark Farzetta and Seth Joyner. In a little bit, we'll be joined by Bill Colarulo, and also Kayla Santiago will join us with the Diamond Debate. I want to talk about this play, what happened before Ferguson did not get in the end zone and got his knee down. Now, the Cowboys drove, and they had a 1st and goal at the 7, and then there was a personal foul penalty on Bayer. Now, if you remember that play, it was really a retaliatory flag that came out because the tight end had actually pushed by her. He came back off the turf and pushed back. Boom, they get it for a personal foul penalty, but that makes it 1st and goal at the 7. So now they're 4th and 1. 4th and 1 is not a play that is very threatening to the Philadelphia Eagles or any of their Eagle fans. It's an automatic conversion, right, with the tush push. Other teams make it difficult. So the Cowboys decide they're going to run the quarterback sneak with Dak Prescott. It was a feeble attempt at a quarterback sneak, and we didn't know whether he got it or not. They gave him a favorable spot. The interesting part about that was had he been stopped, the Eagles would have gotten the ball half the distance to the goal line on that penalty, but instead they ruled that he got it. On that play. So, take me through that moment where you're watching that situation.
Well, I was eager to see whether or not they were going to challenge the spot of the football or not because we saw the way the play ended. But if they get the first down, if they don't get the first down on that play, then it actually gets assessed after the play happens.
Eagles ball,
so the Eagles get the ball,
half
but
the
minus
distance to the goal line based on the penalty to Byard.
Right. Well, first off, I didn't like the call because they missed the original call. When we were talking about it, it should have been offsetting penalties. But unfortunately, just like it is in just about every major contact sport, they only catch the retaliatory play, which was unfortunately on Byard. Byard's got to be smarter than that. He was thrown to the ground. If he just jumps up, throws his hands in the air, maybe he gets the call. But instead, he got smacked in the mouth, wanted to smack somebody else in the mouth in return. I don't blame him for it, but that's just the unfortunate way that it played out. They always get the guy retaliating, not the guy initiating.
Yeah, so then the downs kind of turn over again. They get another 4th and 1 situation there, and that's the pass that doesn't get in the end zone. Mm-hmm. If you're a Cowboy fan, you look at this game and go, well, how many situations did we give away today?
There was – look, the way I look at this game – is that when there's a lot of trash talking going on between the two fan bases going into Eagles-Cowboys game, this is the worst nightmare for the Dallas Cowboy fan base because this game was the perfect example of how many times you could choke in just a brief 60-minute period. They gave so many good examples of choking this game away that the Eagles fan base will dine on this till they meet up again in, 4 weeks?
There's no surprise, though.
Oh, no surprise.
Listen, there's no surprise. This is who Dallas is. Mm-hmm. They're going to puke on their shoes every single time, every week you turn around. They're like Slep Rock, and Murphy's Law is always
Slep Rock again.
And Murphy's Law is everything is in effect with them in every single way. I mean, there's no way the way that the Eagles, fell apart at the end of that game that they had any business losing that game. You get all the way down to the 6-yard line, and you got an opportunity to score a touchdown to go ahead and win the game, and then you precipitously go backwards, and then you got I forget what it was, like 3rd and goal all the way back, on the 25 to 20-yard line from the 6.
26.
It's just unbelievable. But that's who the Dallas Cowboys are. That's who they are. If there's a way for them to mess it up, a way to lose it, a way to screw it up, a way to muck it up, they're going to find a way to do it. That's just their MO. That's who they've been for the last 25 years.
So we can pretty much dispose of them as a threat in the NFC. Can we dispose of them right now and move on to who are the other teams that might be able to challenge?
Are they
5-3?
Cowboys?
5-3.
Yeah,
drop the 5-3.
5-3 Eagles, 8-1.
They're 5-3. The Eagles are 3-0 in the division. The Cowboys have 1 loss in the division. Who are the Eagles losing to? Even if they split with the Cowboys, they're still going to come out on top. Just record-wise, the head-to-head wouldn't even matter. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they're not our concern until we play them again in 4 or 5 weeks. Our main concern is trying to figure out, how we're going to navigate what Steve Spagnuolo is now going to throw at us. Because to me, he is one of the most creative defensive coordinators in the National Football League, and he had a blueprint for what to do with Jalen, even though Jalen had a hell of a Super Bowl. He's got cornerbacks that play aggressive. He's got safeties that play aggressive. And he's got a stable of linebackers that are not afraid to make plays. So that's got to be the focus. The coaches are going to go into self-scouting mode to kind of figure out, okay, let's look at the numbers and see, where we've been, where we've been predictive throughout the first 9 weeks of the season, and then let's make some adjustments as we go along. What changes can we make? What can we add to the repertoire of what we do well and what we like to do to add a run play or a pass play for offensive coordination? And then defensively, the big thing is just they got to get healthy, man. They have to get healthy. They got to get healthy enough. I don't know if James Bradbury is unhealthy or, they preach, can't give up the big play, because a lot of times, precipitously, that's what happens. When something's preached to you, don't, that's the thing that normally happens more than anything. But he has just not looked good, the last 3 or 4 games, and they've got to get him back. I'm more worried about him than I am Eli Ricks and Sidney Brown. I don't expect for Sidney Brown to really thrive in the slot. I really don't. But they're trying to get him as much practice and as many reps as they can, because they've been so beat up there. Because if you lose Eli Ricks, now you're going to have to play him there. Even Eli Ricks is a young guy, and he's trying to figure it all out. But there's just so much going on with this defense, and how do you figure it out? They can't stop the run in the 4-man front. They have to get in the 5-man front to stop the run, and then that makes you weaker on the back end, because that's one less guy you got in coverage, unless you're going to drop Hassan Reddick or you're going to drop, Nolan Smith. So they got some things they got to figure out, because these offenses they're about to face. These are the type of offenses they're going to have to beat if they think they're going to win Super Bowl 58.
All right, let's take a break, and the Diamond Debate is coming our way, and also John McMullen. Don't forget, we'll hear from John as he covered today's game at Lincoln Financial Field, and also Bryce Harper showed up today at the Yard, and I saw Bryce was in the suite, and he did the
Phillies player.
He did that.
Yeah. Do you see they build him as Phillies player?
Did they?
Bryce Harper?
Phillies player.
Not two-time MVP or anything,
Phillies player.
Yeah.
Who said that?
The Eagles. When they put him on the Fanavision, they dubbed him as Phillies player Bryce Harper.
Oh, come on, man. You got to give that man more respect than that.
Football player, Seth
Give him
Joyner.
respect that he's still in Philly in November.
Listen,
normally it's
that is
warmer
true.
climes in Las Vegas.
Hey, Mike, but this is the reason why he's so beloved in the city. Because while everybody else is tucked tail and ran, he's right here to face the music. He's out supporting the team the same way that the guys came out and supported him. That's why he's so beloved. That's why he can screw something up and everybody, he gets it right more than he gets it wrong.
You're right. That play in the playoffs where he ran second base
Against the Braves.
I don't even remember what play you talking about.
But he wasn't a suite though. I mean,
yeah, he was in the suite.
He was out in the masses last week. He knows better.
Yes. He was
knows,
at the Flyers game.
Yeah. Listen, he knows which games to be outside and which games to be in. You don't want to be in that.
I guess he could make
You don't want to be in that stuff Dallas week.
Yeah, he could probably make a last-minute call and get a ticket. It is the Pontlin Hockey Eagles post-game show. Coming up, Kayla's Diamond Debate. Bill Colarulo will also join us on the set right here. Eagles win it in survival mode today. I don't know how they did it, but they did survive, and now they are 7-8-1. As they win today, 28-20. What was it? 23.
23.
Back after this.